Why so serious? They're coming for your porn, everybody. Revolt. Oh, I'm in landscape. Boom. So, where to start? Do we start with internet privacy being killed or the Florida prisoner being killed? Do we start off with the revolution being killed? What killing do you want to start with? All right, let's start with internet privacy because that might actually sort of be something people care about or revolt about, knowing now that they're slowly this slippery slope of losing our internet rights. Who knows where that's going, right? So now they're able to take our information and sell it to, I assume, anybody. So whatever you do now on the internet, they're able to sell. Who knows how deep the bill goes, right? Because none of us read it. Half of us understand it. But they're going to be tracking and selling our information. And I don't know how to make anybody care about that. Because it's a slippery slope, right? You don't know what's next. They control the content. They control your internet speed. They will slow down the number of people who can watch this broadcast. There's all sorts of things that they can do. It's a slippery slope. People don't realize why it's so important. And, you know, my whole thing was, well, maybe if you know they're coming for your porn, they're going to control your porn content. Maybe that'll start a revolt. What does it take to start a revolt? So two things tonight that I saw that are good and bad things. Jordan Charlton, so he's probably the only sort of real renegade reporter out there that I sort of highly respect because he sort of beat me to the punch tonight about what my broadcast was about. He had a town hall in Flint that he had going through the Young Turks, and he also had it through Truth Against the Machine. Had a very long, detailed town hall, Flint, Michigan. But the most important part of his town hall was the information that he put up on the town hall. And he said, you know, maybe I'm being a radical here, but I'm going to post all the contact information for the representatives or the people you need to call. And that's exactly, if you go to my Facebook page earlier tonight, that's my concern. You always hear stories, and TYT does this, you'll always hear these horrific stories. So let's take the horrific story. Well, Flint's horrific enough if you've investigated. They've poisoned children, ruined their mental capacities for the rest of their lives. They'll never be the same. It's not only is it just third world, it's just beyond comprehension that had to happen in America, that there's children now that are going to be mentally deficient because of water. But let's go back to the Florida guy. The Florida prisoner, the person who had was mentally ill, they put him in a hot shower and basically burned him alive. The guards, because he had defecated on himself, and I know this is not funny, I'm sorry people, but we have to talk about it. They put him in a shower, they burn him alive, no charges are brought after they do an investigation. So I read article after article, I see TYT tonight talking about it, but no one directs us to the representative or the people we need to call. Now I'm not saying that isn't upon us to do that, but wouldn't it help if you were doing a report, at the end of the report say, and here's the person you should be calling below. Here's the representative you should be calling, be it the Attorney General, be it the Mayor, be it the House of Representatives. And again, that is the problem, and why I believe, or don't believe, that a revolution is upon us. And maybe that's why, you know, people call me so stuck up on Bernie and I'm Bernie Savior and all those fucking terms they use, is because we were close to breaking the machine. We literally were close to breaking the machine. We had a revolution at hand. People were donating money, their own money, to this revolution. People were in the streets marching. People were going to rallies. Now there is absolutely nothing. When we're at probably the highest point of when we need to have a revolution, we finally have a president who is just blatantly, doesn't even try to fucking hide his deviousness. He's just completely out of control. And still, you'll see no growth in the Green Party. You'll see no growth in the Democratic Socialist Party. And then people will say, oh, yes, they're all growing. No, not at the rate and the speed and the amount of people that you're going to need to create this revolution. That's why when I say with Bernie, we almost broke the machine, and people would push back. We almost broke the machine. How did we almost broke the machine? If Bernie had won the whole election, we would have got our Supreme Court justice in there, right? We could have turned over Citizens United. There's so many mechanisms in place that impede a third party that it's virtually impossible. Sherry Hunkela, who lost her bid as a Green Party candidate, who told us specifically that people still buy votes. It's not uncommon to someone say, hey, I'll buy you a beer or a burger, I'll give you money if you go vote for a candidate. It's 2017, they're buying votes. So the concern, I guess, goes back to revolution and can it be done, and what has to be done. And the two things that I was going to talk about way before is I feel like the only way we do this is a massive peaceful protest, and it has to be, it has to be South Korea sized, it has to be, Russia sized, it has to be people in the streets continually. I don't think we have that in us. But that's the only way. The second way is not guaranteed, is through innovation. If people like Elon Musk continue to change the game and change the need for oil, or just giant innovations. But I also see with innovation another problem. And maybe I've discussed this before, but with innovation comes even more distraction. So augmented reality, people then tend not to, more distractions. If augmented reality or virtual reality becomes a thing, another way where people can disconnect, we have more problems actually creating a revolution. But this goes back to us. It is all about us and being in the streets and taking such simple things as calling your representatives, making donations, to your candidates that you see, to phone banking. But even through social media, Facebook and Twitter, you can sort of see there's this lack of revolution. And you would think at this time, one more thing, and this is what I tried to tell everybody who was like sort of going after Bernie, and you have to understand, what you don't understand is Clinton is coming. She just did her first appearance in San Francisco. It was live streamed. She's going to create this huge vacuum again, right? All the attention is going to go to why she lost. They're going to try to rebrand her and reprop her up, and they're going to pull all the attention. So it's going to sort of go back to this whole Clinton-Trump thing again. Bernie will be pushed aside. Jill Stein will be pushed aside. Third progressives will be pushed aside, and they'll take over the message again, or not the message, but they'll take over the revolution again. So our time was limited. We had a gap between now and when Clinton came back and tried to take over again. Tom Perez just fired all the DNC staff, which supposedly is normal. I wish he had fucking fired himself along with that. Now, how do I trust a guy like Tom Perez, who in an email said he wanted to be the guy who put the knife in Bernie's back? How do I go out back and trust somebody like that? I don't. So, I'm sort of lost as far as what we do. And people always ask, what are the solutions? So, independent media is crucial. This channel is crucial. Jordan Charlatan is crucial. Jimmy Dore is crucial. But along with that, needs to be this 24/7 outlet where we talk about these things, and the numbers have to be so much greater, the actions have to be so much greater, there has to be so many people watching, so many people picking up the phone, so many people hitting the streets, but it's just not going to happen. So what is going to happen is Hillary Clinton's about to step back in, the media will start, so you'll have people reporting everything that Hillary does and everything that Trump does, and maybe once in a while we'll hear from Bernie. And maybe very, very, very rarely, maybe we'll hear about Jill Stein or the Democratic Socialists or whatever party it is that's building at the moment. But she's about to create this vacuum. So we had we had from November to right now to build a third party or really grow our recruits. And it just didn't happen. So now what? Now it gets really scary. As more and more people get jaded and they go, okay, it's just Hillary, Trump back and forth. I don't really give a shit. I'm bailing. And I don't see any chance for a revolution or people hitting the streets, right? They would have hit the streets by now. I don't know what would it take. What would it take for people to hit the streets on a continual basis? Really just stay out in the streets. What will it take for a revolution? What will it take for people to really go to the Green Party or the Democratic Socialists or the Progressive Independent Party? What is it going to take? If not Donald Trump, if not Hillary Clinton, if not the distaste of that, then what does it? I took notes, but and I want to come on here and sort of joke around, but when there is a guy in Florida, he gets burned alive in a prison, and there seems to be no consequences and no repercussions, and it doesn't seem to be any protest, and they sort of hold the investigation for so long that it no longer even becomes like an issue for people to even care about. All right, let me go to what you guys are talking about. You guys are really commenting like crazy tonight. Hold on. I'll give you guys a chance to chime in. You guys are... I have no idea what that... Emil is here. That is sad about the guy in Florida. Prisons for profit. That's what happens. Florida is getting... I think Florida is number 3 in the country for people incarcerated, and then it's like California and Texas. So yeah, obviously that's another huge issue. This damn landscape. Sorry, everybody. Bear with me. Bear with me. I also need to get a drink of water. Someone put up the Congress switchboard, and not even that, people. You should have, I am slowly collecting every House of Representatives, I'm sorry, I'm getting notifications while I'm talking to you. Every House of Representatives number, every senator's number. You know that Trump just signed an executive order, right, to again pull back some of the EPA regulations. I know Maryland just banned fracking, so that's important. So that's good news. I don't even know what the rebranding of Chelsea Clinton's all about. I mean, they're always kind of throwing her in the mix, which always makes me feel like they're trying to use Chelsea to bring in the millennials. I always feel like it's a trick to. And even tonight, if you saw her speak, Hillary Clinton, they were really trying to humanize her, which is so difficult. They were telling her about how much empathy she has and where did she get her empathy from. I couldn't watch it. It's unbearable to watch, but she's back out there, speaking again. So the vacuum is coming, people. The time we had to create a movement to sort of overshadow her and to really get in the streets and say, no, we're not going to take Clinton, and no, we don't want Trump. That time has passed, and now the media is going to come in. The mainstream media is just going to beat us over the head with Trump Clinton for the next 4 years. So we had our moment. We had our little moment of glory there. Sorry, I'm trying to see. Let me see. Yeah, Linda says, share the Real News links with friends who are not on Facebook. Send to their email, talk in person. Yeah, and Linda's right about that. I mean, so there's so many different methods, because people will say, what are the solutions? Independent media, donating to candidates that you like, putting in time, with phone banking, going to meetings, going to local meetings. Probably local politics is the most you can do. But again, why is it, and that's why it's so important for like this media station, whatever we become, to be more of an activist station where you're actually putting the phone numbers out there of the people that you need to contact. Because they have to be called. They have to be worried. They have to know that you're engaged. They have to know that they just can't let somebody boil somebody in a prison without protest and without someone making a fucking phone call. Now, I did actually try to figure out the district of, this is Miami-Dade County, and I think it's Miami-Dade Prison. I did try to find the district. I think the mayor is Jimenez. I did put the links to someone gave me the portal to Miami-Dade, so I was looking through it, but I want to know the top 3 people, or maybe let's go with top 10 people we should be calling about this prisoner that was boiled in Florida. Just as a means of practice, of revolution, of protest. If you're not going to get in the streets, then at least be making phone calls. At least be, and I don't mean to dox these people, because you're not doxing them, right? They're representatives, and that's their job, to listen to us. So, yeah, Emil, you're right. There's definitely, people know this. We all watch and we all talk, but if you walk around, people are, playing their weird little video games in their hand, watching Hulu, they're just so not in here. So, I don't know how you drag those people in. I can't worry about them. I have to worry about building this network, making it funny, palatable, shareable, making it interesting. It's really hard to get people to continually show up to want to do a show. I've tried to do a show with my brother. I've tried to do a show with friends. I've tried to do people inside Real Progressives. It's very difficult with the schedule. We are trying. Hopefully things will grow. Amy Smith says, get shut down by other progressives, gives us talk. I like the give and take of arguments. I think it's entertaining. I don't like everybody just like to talk. I created an echo chamber on my page, but I like the give and take of people who disagree. It helps my brain to come up with other ideas. So I'm always actually myself looking to get into conflict, just because it helps me sort of reinvigorate, okay, what is the plan? What should we be doing? What should we be saying? You want to be able to spar with people, to have the answers to throw back in their face, to be able to battle with them. So that I don't mind so much. There's a lot of discourse between the Greens and the Bernie-crats that's not good. And I believe it, and people are saying that it's trolls from the Green side, sort of baiting the Bernie people. I have no idea. I don't think it matters, because the movement itself isn't big enough. We should be beyond that. It shouldn't matter, like all the little small arguments on any kind. It shouldn't matter, because the movement should be so much bigger than any little arguments. It should be growing at this incredible rate. It just isn't. And that should be alarming to you. So the problem is the revolution isn't growing at the speed that I believe it should be, because of the situation we're in and the urgency. So that means people don't give a shit. They've sort of fallen back. And now Clinton is coming. She's coming back into the scene. And it'll be harder and harder, and that's what I was trying to warn people about. I'm sorry, I'm trying to see your comments. It's not easy. Martin Levy, even Facebook is not trusted at first. Yeah, I know Facebook has some sort of all sorts of algorithms that people claim, and I don't even know. Honestly, I was thinking about that tonight, Martin, is that I got to go back to Twitter and really work on Twitter, as far as I think that might be a better place to develop a following. Obviously, Zach Haler, who's on here, did that. Chris says, I believe that everything is going to change, and we all do need to get on board of this future we would like to create. Cheers to all. Carissa's being positive tonight. Thank you, Carissa. Linda says, I'm just trying to get some big points here. No, Carrie, don't get me wrong. Carrie Jones says it's never too late to get your message across. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying we should be concerned. I think the way even TYT or any sort of what we consider progressive news, because there's not much out there, really doesn't. We sort of have to almost change the term of journalism, because we're at a place where people are not activated, and it's so much more, it's easier to be activated, right? I have an unlimited phone plan. I can use as much data as I want. I can make as many phone calls. There's no excuse. I don't know how many other people are in that same area where making a phone call or sharing a story or giving out a phone number of a representative, it's so easy to do, and I just don't feel like it's happening, and that's my concern. It's not that, Linda, that it wasn't that, it's not that the news article wasn't sourced. It was, again, I just feel like inside the story, if it's TYT or if it's somebody, like someone has to take the story, meme it, and then send out and say, look, these are the people. I mean, we do, I'm not saying we don't do that. A lot of times there's great memes where people put the phone numbers of the representatives, but it was just like tonight I was like, all right, this guy got boiled in a Florida prison, and it's a big story, and everybody's talking about it, and everybody's sharing it, and TYT talked about it tonight, but then at the end of the story, it's like, well, who do we call, and what do we do to actually have some sort of change? I mean, it's always great that these stories are sort of sensationalized, right? Like, oh my God, look at the horrific thing that happened in Florida. Okay, tomorrow's another story. You fucking know that. You know the news cycle is like, okay, Florida guy got burned. All right, tomorrow, Trump tweet. Or, you know, he just pulled back regulations on EPA. Or Clinton has said something about Trump today. And then they talk about the 24/7. So it's so important for us to sort of steal the narrative, build the protests. But I'm just really concerned that this political revolution should be moving at a much faster rate. And it's not like I didn't fear that this was going to happen. It's just that I don't have the answer. That's the problem. I'm really concerned about I really thought building this network would be something that would make me feel like we're accomplishing something, but I just don't feel like if you watched, even, let's just take an example. Even TYT has a Flint live stream, and they didn't have over 1,000 people. When I see those numbers, I get really concerned that less than 1,000 people are watching a Flint town hall. That concerns me. Last night, Green News Network had 3 people talking about monetary theory. Less than 200 people were watching. That concerns me. So that's what I'm talking about. And then, you know, not activating people to try to do something to make phone calls and to dox. And I don't mean the word dox. It's just to put out the phone numbers for people to call to say, hey, I'm upset about what happened in Florida. What are you guys doing to investigate? Do we go to a federal? Do we need a federal prosecutor? And Linda, should we be calling in a federal prosecutor? Should this be a federal investigation into the murder of this Florida? I mean, what steps should we be taking besides just being horrified that some poor mentally challenged person was burned in a prison and nobody was held accountable? And there's so much going on in the rest of the world. I just, last night, after I talked to you guys about Yemen, you know, I go and I research, I post stuff about Yemen, realize that we've sold $64 billion worth of weapons to Saudi Arabia. That was during Hillary's stay as Secretary of State, and they were excited about all the weapons they had sold to Saudi Arabia. We're involved with the bombing of Yemen. We are the ones that refuel the planes in the air. So again, the murder by proxy, we are murdering people in Yemen by proxy by selling $64 billion worth of weapons to the Saudi Arabians, selling them the aircraft, and refueling the aircraft while they bomb Yemen. Now, I don't know how long that stays in the news cycle, and I don't know how we keep that out there, and I don't know how we protest things to make these things stop. Even just like, what do we do with the revolution? How do we, the only way we stop this two-party dictatorship is through massive protests in the streets, because everything else that we want to do as far as creating a third party, there's so many impediments in the way as far as Citizens United, corruption on every level, from the election machines to the people that run them to the boards. I mean, there's just corruption across every level. If you go and get involved, you'll see it. It's so daunting. So, but again, how do we stop this? I don't know. Let me just see if you guys are commenting. I need a time check, if you guys can. Yeah, Linda says it sucks. They're never going to be held accountable. But again, I wish I had the number. I only have I think I have the mayor. His name is Mayor Jimenez. It's Miami-Dade County. There's so many representatives down there. I couldn't narrow it down, so I feel guilty too, coming on here telling you this whole story. And the big kicker of the story should be me, posting or pinning the numbers of the people we should be calling. So when I do this report, I should have had the number and tagged it onto of who we should be calling about the person who was murdered, basically murdered in Miami-Dade County. And that's the problem, people, is not enough people share, not enough people make phone calls, not enough people protest. Yeah, we watch this, and this is crucial, what we do, but you need to be concerned, because like I said, Clinton is coming. The mainstream media is going to focus on that. They're going to try to rebrand her. She's still going to be the DNC darling. There's nobody else. They want a Trump Clinton part 2. And so does the media. I'm sure they love it. I'm sure it brings ratings. I mean, if Clinton tries to grow any fangs and makes this interesting, they're going to love it, right? Because we know Trump's going to be tweeting this stupid shit all day. So I'm concerned. I'm concerned that we had a window of growth for the revolution, and I'm just not sure we took the opportunity. So I'm concerned about that. So if anybody comes up with that information about Miami-Dade County and this prisoner who was murdered by being burnt alive in a shower where his skin was falling off and nobody was held accountable, no consequences, please contact me through PM, and next time I will pin the number of the people we have to call. Share the broadcast. Follow me on Facebook. Contact me with any local stories. Oh, and check out, I have all the lists of all the names of the people you're supposed to contact from Flint, Michigan. Jordan Charlton did a great job tonight. Please share his broadcast with TOIT, also Truth Against the Machine. These are all, if there's one good sign, it is investigative, independent journalism that's going to be on our shoulders to do. All right? I'll see you guys. Keep it real. Real progressives. Love you. Bye.